If you've clicked on this video, you probably want to build an AI agent without a single line of code. And that's exactly what we're going to do and show you in just a moment. Now, AI agents are one of the most important things to happen. And in 2025 and beyond, it's really going to fundamentally change the way we work. Now, there is a big misconception in the industry right now, which is that you have to be an engineer and understand how to program in order to build your own. And unfortunately, that's actually quite fortunate because 99% of the population, like me, don't code. And so there is a bunch of videos and a bunch of content on how to build agents, but they are all geared towards developers, and it drives me absolutely crazy. And so in this video, I'm going to show you exactly how you can build your own very powerful AI agents without absolutely any code, and you do not need to be an engineer. Now, if you're new to this channel, my name is Alfie. I'm the co-founder and CEO of Toolflow AI. We have built a platform that allows people like yourself to build AI agents and automations without a single line of code, which is exactly what we're going to cover in this video. We also help companies in a second way, which is through our AI agency. So for those people who don't want to build their own agents and automations, but know they need to use AI in their everyday work, they can hire us and we will build custom solutions for you. So if either of those are interesting to you, just click on the link in the description and schedule a call with myself or our team, and we can see how we can help you. Now, with that out of the way, let's jump into the video. So before we get into building our own AI agent, I just want to spend a couple of seconds explaining what an AI agent is not. And to do that, I'm going to jump into one of my favorite tools, which is Claude AI. Now, Claude is very similar to ChatGPT and a bunch of these other products, which are really just chat interfaces that sit on top of language models. So in other words, they just help you chat to AI. They're very, very powerful and they can do amazing things. And these models that we are chatting with here are the same things that are going to power our agents. So they are really, really important, but they do have some limitations. And I'm going to explain what they are. So if we just jump into Claude and say, for example, write me a blog post about Triumph motorcycles and the meaning of life through perspective of a motorcyclist. Don't know why, that just sounds like a great topic. So we've basically asked a question to the language model, and it is now able to respond. And so it's basically inferring this answer. It's able to give us an answer based off its training data, and it kind of predicts what it thinks it should say. Now, the better the models, the better the output, and so on. So that's really, really cool. And we can do some really fun stuff with this, like, okay, great, make it shorter and output in Markdown. So this is going to give another instruction. It's now going to edit it, and it's putting it in Markdown, which basically is just giving it some headers and different kind of formatting. So that's great. This is an example of just interacting with a language model. Now, to the limitations. These language models are trained up to a certain period of time, which means that they basically can't answer questions about things outside of their training data. So for example, if the cutoff period was in April 2024, then these models are not going to know who won the US general election. And to prove that, we can just simply ask, who won the US general election in 2024? And right here we can see, okay, the knowledge cutoff is April 2024, and so it doesn't know the outcome of the election. So there is a problem with these chat interfaces because they are not grounded in knowledge that is outside of their training data. Now, for something like the election, whatever, we can go and Google it. But if we want to start using agents to answer questions about our customers or help solve problems that require data about our company, the fact that these language models weren't trained on our data can really be a problem. And so we need a way to fix that. So that's kind of limitation number one. The other limitation is that these language models can't take action in the real world. In a way, they are similar to our brain. They have been trained on something, and the chat interface is like our mouth, which can communicate what it was trained on and kind of the response. But it doesn't have hands. It can't take action in the real world. It can't send an email. It can't open a door. It can't do anything for that matter other than respond to the query. So to give you an example, again, let's go back to our trusty friend, Claude, and say, hey, can you tell me who I have meetings with next week by checking my calendar? And lo and behold, I don't have access to your calendar or any personal information systems. So I can only work with information you directly share here. Okay, so that's limitation number 2. It can't take action in the real world. Doesn't mean it's not powerful, but it has a limitation. And there are some other limitations such as memory. So if I tell this chat, say, my name is Alfie, it says, great, nice to meet you. And I say, what is my name? Your name is Alfie. So it has short-term memory based off of what happened in the thread. So that's great. So it has some memory. But if I go back and now start a new chat and say, what is my name? I don't know your name since we just started the conversation. So you can see that there is some short-term memory with these chat interfaces, but there isn't memory that spans across multiple conversations. And that's actually really important for agents, because if you have an army of agents that are all kind of working together, they don't have this collective memory of what's happened. They don't have access to this kind of knowledge layer or this sort of state layer. And that's something which is really important for agents. So in summary, we can look at this from an agent perspective and say, if a chat interface is basically a query, go into a language model and then getting a response, an AI agent is actually a query, which then goes to a piece of software, and that might be a chat interface, but then uses large language models to understand the query and the objective and make a plan as to how to respond. But it can also then use tools. So with agents, we can give them access to tools so they can perform tasks. Not only can we give them access to tools, but we can also ground them in knowledge. For example, we can give them access to data about our customers or our company, and this helps them give a much better answer. So let's actually just go in and use an agent and see exactly what this looks like in real life. So I've built an agent which I've called the Content Repurposing Agent. And it basically is for marketers, and these marketers can take any kind of long form content, whether it be a YouTube video, or maybe it's a webinar that you recorded with your team, or maybe it's just another piece of content on the internet like a blog post. But we're going to take that long form piece of content and then we're going to turn it into other content like a social media post, LinkedIn post, or a Twitter thread. So there's going to be lots of different tools that this can use to repurpose content for marketing. So let's jump into Toolflow and then start seeing how this works. So Toolflow looks very similar to these chat interfaces. We can talk with different language models, but not only can we talk with AI, we can actually talk with agents, and these agents can take action. So I'm going to show you an example first, and then I'll show you exactly how to build it yourself today without any code. So let's go over to our agent marketplace. We can access all the agents that we have built ourselves, as well as ones that have been publicly shared in the marketplace. I'm going to click on the Content Repurposing Agent, and you'll notice down here at the bottom, it says now chatting with Content Repurposing Agent. So I'm going to say, hey, how's it going? How can you help me? So this agent has been trained to work in a certain way and understand queries and use certain tools. So it should know that all of the tasks are going to be for transforming long form content into blog posts. So I can assist you with repurposing long form content. How can I assist you today? So I am just going to skip this conversation and I'm going to go over to YouTube. I'm going to take one of my favorite podcasts. I'm going to click on the link and I'm going to get the link to this YouTube video. And the reason why is because I want to take this video and I want to turn it into some LinkedIn posts. We don't need this just yet. So I'm going to say, I want to take this YouTube video and turn it into LinkedIn posts and a Twitter thread. And then I'll post that here. So now the agent is thinking, it's been given a query and it's thinking, how should I respond to this? And so the first thing it's going to do is say, okay, great. To get started, I'll need to extract the transcript from the YouTube video. So it's figured out that it needs to use this tool, and this is a YouTube transcript extractor. So it's actually doing something in the background and using a tool. So it's taking these hands and kind of doing something in the real world. We've then go on to the next stage, which is to use another tool, which is viral LinkedIn post and Twitter thread generator. So I've basically built this agent and I've given it access to a bunch of different tools, and it's now based on my query figured out which tools it needs to use in which moment. And so it's having to think about that. It's taking that transcript from the video and it's now passing that through to the second tool. and I should start getting some LinkedIn posts. So let's see what it produces. So here are some LinkedIn posts. So I know this tool, because I built it, creates 5 LinkedIn posts for us. And so it's going to give me some different drafts that I can play with. And it should also give me a Twitter thread. Okay. Okay, great. So I've got my post. Now it's going to go to the Twitter thread. And this is actually pretty good. Like if I read this, let's see. This one here. I don't use email. Wait, what? That's right. Aaron Zinman, co and CEO from Monday.com, a $7 billion company, doesn't use email. His reasoning: I never got anything good out of an email, etc., etc. So this is actually taking like a lot of the information that was in this podcast, and it's actually pretty good. I quite like these. So here's the Twitter thread. Okay, great. So that's it. So I can then obviously go and edit this and change this and ask it to do some more stuff. But the main thing I wanted to show you is the fact that it has access to tools and it did something. So if I go back here to the YouTube transcript extractor, I'm going to click on this. This is a tool, and I'll open this tool in just a second. In fact, I'll open it now. In another screen, I have, in fact, I'll open it now. So let's go open the agent. And I'm just going to go down to the tool that this is using. So we've got the YouTube transcript extractor, and this is the tool. So all of these tools that agents can use, you can also build in our tool builder. So not only can you build agents, but you can build the tools that they use, again, all without any code. So here we have YouTube transcript extractor, and this basically requires one input, which is the YouTube URL. Once we've got that, we then use this tool, which is just kind of a YouTube extractor. So you can just drag and drop this onto the canvas and then you fill it out. So I've already done this, so I don't need this one. And I need the URL. So I've basically taken the URL from the input and it then gives me the transcript. And then I pass that through and I basically just, this next block just extracts just the transcript for me. And then the output of this tool is very simple. It's just the final transcript, because there is more stuff that I can get from this tool, but this is sufficient. So very, very basic tool. So if I come over to my agent here and I look at what it's done with this tool, we know that it's used this tool and we know it needed to pass in a YouTube URL. So it's extracted this URL from my conversation history and it's put that as an input, and then it's generated this output. So it's generated a title, the channel itself, the description, and then the transcript it's used as well. So that's fantastic. It's given me the transcript, and that tool is great. It's done exactly the job. The second tool is a different one, which takes that long sort of form content and then will turn it into LinkedIn posts. So again, if I click on this tool and go to the input, I can see that the input was the source material. And so it's kind of taken all of this information and it's basically given me the whole transcript. So all of that long form content of the YouTube video. And then it's given me an output, and the output are the LinkedIn posts. So these are kind of, it's all squished together, and I've got my hooks and my Twitter thread. So they kind of, it's not very well formatted in this drop down here. But what happens is this agent is going to take those tool outputs and decide how to bring it back to the user and present that information. And so it's then said, okay, it's given me more things than I needed, but it said, okay, the user only wants the LinkedIn post and the Twitter thread. So I'm going to start typing those out in the chat. And there you have it. We have now got our agent, and this is, I can just use this for absolutely anything and just create LinkedIn posts from anything. So I could add in a podcast that I recorded and it would use a different tool to transcribe that or turn that audio into text. Now, these agents could be used to build absolutely anything. Very shortly on Toolflow, we're going to be adding hundreds of integrations with different tools like Gmail, Calendar, Notion, Slack, all of the things that you might use in your everyday working life. So you can build really powerful agents that can take action on your behalf. Okay, so now that you've seen an agent actually work, let's actually go to the easy part, which is to build it. And to do that, we're going to go back into Toolflow. So in Toolflow, I can come to here. Now, what I would normally do if I was starting from scratch is I'd open up this menu, I'd go into the agent builder, and then I would start building my agent from scratch. And again, there's zero coding. It's all just type in and text in. So from here, I would start building it. But what I'm going to do is actually go to my agent library, and I'm going to open up the content repurposing agent and talk you through what I've built here. So first, we give it a name, the content repurposing agent, and we give it a description. So far, very simple. The second is the model. So going back to our diagram here, we know that an agent consists of a language model, but it is this kind of piece of software that brings it together. So we first need to choose which model is going to speak with the user and decide how the tools are going to be used. So here we are going to use GPT-4 Omni, which is the language model that powers ChatGPT. We could also choose other ones like Claude, which is the same one that is powering Claude AI here. So there is some overlap. We're still using the same language models that are powering these chat interfaces, but we're using them in a much more powerful way. Then there are tools. So we can give our agent access to tools. You've seen some of the tools that we used already. If I scroll down here, I've given this agent access to, I think, was it 6 or 7 different tools? And most of these tools are basically taking some sort of long form content and then transforming it into text. So if I was to provide a YouTube URL, I need a way to get the transcript. And so I've got this YouTube transcript extractor, which you've already seen. However, if I was to upload a file, like an audio or video file into the chat, I would need a way to transcribe that and turn that kind of audio file again into text. So we have a transcribe tool. Similarly, we might be adding some other information. So let's say, for example, you've got a white paper that exists on the internet and it's on someone's blog post. You could just send in the link to that website, and we can use a web scraper tool to take that link and extract all of the information from the website. So we've had most of these tools are really for extracting the kind of information out and getting text to start with. The remainder tools here are actually for creating the viral posts. And then we also have other tools to create blog posts out of this, but we didn't cover that in the video. Okay, going back to the agent, we also have knowledge. Now, in this particular agent, I didn't ground it with any knowledge. We could connect this to different databases like Google Sheets, Excel, Airtable, or something like that. Or I could just simply give it a Word document that had a bunch of information about my company. If I had this information, I could add this into the files, or I could add some other system to go and pull information from my integrations. For this particular agent, I didn't need to do that, but you can do that here. These two pieces at the bottom are not too relevant. The temperature basically is how creative is the model. If you put this all the way to 0, you're going to get a very predictable answer. It's not going to change that much every time you type in a query. If you put it all the way to the right-hand side, however, you're going to get a much more creative answer. So you have less control over what the model is going to say, but it can add a lot more variability. For the time being, I would just say, if you're not sure, just leave it right in the middle. And lastly, the user instructions. These at the moment doesn't do anything on Toolflow, but this is going to be the welcome message when you access your agent. And so you can kind of tell the user how to use it. It's almost like the welcome message of saying, this is what it does and this is how you can use it. Okay, so now we have tools, we have knowledge, and we have this kind of overall software. There does need to be some instructions to the agent of how should you use these tools and this knowledge. And when we come into the agent builder, this is done via a prompt. So we have a text box here, which is not very long, and it's quite simple. And I'm going to break this down to you in a couple of ways. So to give these instructions to an agent, we need to give it a role. So here I've given a role of an expert copywriter. Now remember, we are trying to repurpose content into blog posts and LinkedIn posts. So that's the kind of role. When you give AI a role, it kind of knows how to behave and how to respond. So it's really good to start with something very succinct. Then there needs to be a goal. So what does this role, you can think of the role almost like a job title, and the goal is like the job description. So what kind of objectives or key responsibilities should this role or job title perform? And so here it's to assist the user to repurpose long-form content into blog posts, LinkedIn posts, and Twitter threads. Once we've given it a goal, then we can provide more context. Now, the context might be giving information to what the company is. So once we've given the goal, we then want to go to the context. And this might be providing information like, what does the company actually do? What kind of writing do they like? What's their style of writing? In this case, I'm just giving some context around the overall goal, which is basically saying your goal is to help this marketer repurpose content, and that they're going to provide you with different sort of formats, and you need to help guide them through which tools to use. So again, not too much extra information, but just a little bit more context to help the agent. After this, we need to give it some instructions about the tools. So when we add the tools at the bottom here, behind the scenes, we do actually give some instructions to the agent so it knows what the tools are and it helps understand them by their descriptions. So when you're building these tools, the descriptions really do matter. The YouTube transcript extractor returns the complete text transcript from a given YouTube video URL. Having a good description means the agent is going to have a better understanding of when to use the tool and how to give those tools the inputs it needs. Having said that, it still helps us in the system prompts talk about what the tools are, and then in the tasks underneath, we can start telling them which tasks require which tools to use. So let's just recap. We have an agent. It has access to tools. We can give it access to knowledge. We choose the language model that we want to use for the agent to power or drive the agent. And now we're focusing on what the instructions are. Now, these agents are really goal-based. We want to give it a kind of an overall goal and then give it the tools and knowledge it needs to solve it. And it will figure out how it should go about answering the query for the user. Most of these agents work really well when we give them specific tasks and almost like a workflow. So in order to repurpose content, what are the tasks that you need to go through? In this case, I have started with the first task is to obtain a source content. So if we know we're going to transform some longer form content into social media posts, so if we know we're going to need a long form content to transform it, we first need to figure out like, what is that piece of content? We need to make sure it's in the right format, and we need to make sure that we understand what it is, who wrote it, why we want to use it. So that is kind of the first task. The instructions section underneath just gives more context for exactly how it should go about solving that particular task. So here, if it's obtain a source content, we are basically giving some instructions to say, before we can begin repurposing the content, we need text to work with. The user may provide content in different formats. Use the appropriate tool based on the format. So for example, if we give it a website URL, then use the web scraper tool. If we give it a YouTube URL, then we need to transcript for the video and we can use this other tool. So it's really just giving more detailed instructions. You should really think about AI agents like hiring an individual in your company. You hire for a job title, they have a job description, there are key responsibilities, and they're kind of expectations. And so we want to start thinking about, these are the sort of 5 things this agent should help you do, and these are the ways the agent should go about solving those tasks. Not only that, here's the tools and the knowledge that the agent needs to use to do that and to perform that task. This is why giving really robust instructions helps. And once we've gone through each of those steps and said how it should work, that's pretty much it. The agent has been built, and then we can go over and open up our agent and then start using it with ease. So hopefully by now, you'll be able to build your entire AI agent without a single line of code. You know how to give them access to tools, give them access to knowledge, and start building things that can help you in your everyday work. On the Toolflow front, we're about to build a bunch of integrations so that you can expand the number of use cases. We're going to build data providers so that you can access information from the internet. We're going to add different integrations to your tools so you can capture knowledge from things like your CRM, databases, and other places like that. So we're very, very excited to be building Toolflow AI and bringing that to the world. We're very, very excited for people like yourself to build your own AI agents and help the community figure out how to navigate this crazy world, which is AI, and how this is going to impact our work. So if you have any questions, please feel free to drop me a message in the comments. If you do create an account on Toolflow, we also have a Slack community that you can join. And we were happy to do more videos like this where we'll train and teach you how to build even more powerful agents. So with that being said, thank you very much. I hope you found the video useful. Give it a thumbs up and subscribe if you haven't already. And with that being said, so by now, hopefully you've been able to build your very first AI agent without a single line of code. Now, we're working tirelessly to increase the capabilities of Toolflow so that we can build more integrations to the tools that you work with every day, as well as connect different data sources, bring in APIs and data from around the internet, and just make this whole ecosystem for building agents very, very easy. What I've been able to build in my own time has been super exciting, and I'm super excited to see what everybody else builds in this platform. So if you want to get more tips and share with your peers, feel free to join. There's a Slack community that when you sign up to Toolflow, you can get access to, and let's help each other navigate this crazy world, which is AI. And with that being said, thanks very much and see you in the next video.